Yes, Dana.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure you could hear me.
I can. Oh, we
Awesome.
had our awesome tech guys here this morning because we were having some issues with Zoom meetings, and they got it fixed for us. Yes, Dana. Oh, just make sure you hear me. That's the recording. So, there's a streaming. Okay, so Chair, whenever we're still a minute to 6, but
Wait till it clicks over. I'm watching your clock right here.
they're all on blue.
Oh, look at us. No, we're in black. Yeah. Yeah, it has. It's been a hard time.
All right, it's 6 o'clock, and we'll go ahead and start the Pleasant View Planning Commission meeting agenda for Thursday, September 15th, 2022 at 6 p.m., and we'll go ahead and start our meeting. We'd like to welcome all of those in attendance tonight, and we'd like to ask all of those in attendance to please sign in at the desk so we can keep a record of those minutes. We'd like to go ahead and ask for a pledge of allegiance and opening prayer reading or expression of thought read by Commissioner Jeff Bolingbrook to start us out.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Our Father in heaven, we're grateful for this opportunity we have to be here tonight for this city council or this planning commission meeting. I'm grateful for the roles that we have in helping to shape our city and the future of growth, and we take this responsibility very seriously, and we pray that as we counsel together tonight, that we may all counsel and make wise decisions as to the growth and these petitioners that are before us tonight. We are grateful for all that the city does for us and the administrators, and we say this in the name of Jesus Christ. Amen.
Thank you. First of all, if everybody's had a chance to read the agenda for tonight, does anybody have a chance to, there's a declaration of conflicts of interest. Does anyone have a need to do a declaration of conflicts of interest for tonight's agenda?
No.
Okay, seeing no needs for a declaration of conflicts of interest, we will go ahead and move on to our first agenda item, site plan for a temporary pumpkin stand. Consideration of a site plan for a temporary pumpkin stand at 2700 North, 1142 West. And we'll go ahead and turn the time over to staff to brief us on the application at that point.
So, commissioners, before you this evening, we do have this consideration of a site plan for a temporary pumpkin stand. Per our city ordinance, even though this is a permitted use, it would still come before the Planning Commission for consideration of the site plan. And so that's why this item is before you this evening. It's the Best Witches Pumpkin Stand, very seasonally appropriate name. And they're asking for this to go over the Cedars Coffee out of 2700 North. I did have some questions about the setbacks, and there was some communication with staff that they'd be willing to meet those with a minimum setback of 20 feet from the parking and the roadway area. And so with that, I don't know if there's any questions of staff at this time, but we do have the applicant here to speak to that. Their desire. Any questions?
Okay, anybody questions for staff before we have the applicant come up? Can we go ahead and have the applicant come up? And if you come up, you state your name and address, please.
Microphone's on for you. So I think it is.
No, that's just fine. Okay, my name is Shay East, and I am at 1243. Do you want my personal address or the
Yes, please.
address? Okay, it's 1243 East, 1243 East, 2225. We're in Layton, Utah, and we are just wanting to do this little pumpkin stand up here. The person who owns the land sent me that. I think that the one that you guys have with the big orange block on it. And that was just an example of where they own. And so obviously when we do the stand, if we're permitted to do the stand, we would do that away from the street and away from the parking and make it very compact and out of everybody's way where it would be safe and stuff like that. It'd be very cute and set up, organized and tidy and clean and just cute, something for my kids to do. We grow the pumpkins here in Utah. My husband has 500 acres in Penrose that he farms and does all sorts of produce, and he sells to Walmarts and Smiths and local stores. So it's a big professional production that he has going. So everything would be done nicely, I think.
Okay, maybe we'll start out with staff has some questions because maybe it'll address a few of those that we have.
So, and I know I talked with Chair Neff earlier on one of his questions, so I don't want to steal your thunder, but just with the setbacks, it sounds like you were able to talk with our office staff, so you're comfortable moving that away from
Yes.
the parking and then also the roadway, obviously,
Mhm.
very busy roadway.
Yes.
And so if you want to piggyback with your question on the.
One of my questions was, I see that you have, it says straw bales, and that has kind of I'm not sure what is that considered a fence line? How high are the straw bales or what you're going to
It
have?
will just be very, just
Are we going one
outline
high,
of the
two high?
display or,
I guess I'm kind of worried about the kids running around because majority of this
Yes.
is tailored for kids.
uh-huh,
And we have scooters, that is their main entrance right there
Yeah.
for thoroughfare. And so we have basically a barrier is that one high?
So the way that we can do it, we have access to, I don't know the size of the bales, like the giant straw like bales. In the past stand that we've done, we did line the whole thing with the giant ones and put signage up, not to climb on it. So if you want us, we can do bigger bells to help put a fence line if you want. Or we can do the shorter ones if you're afraid of people getting up and falling.
My biggest thought is at least along here because scooters, this is their main thoroughfare
Uh-huh.
here. And so I just was more worried about
Okay.
if kids are climbing on this,
Uh-huh.
are we?
So if we
right here's a thoroughfare.
did,
So I'm just thinking of kids.
Yeah.
They're 3x4 bells, so they're 3 feet tall and 4 feet wide. And we did last year on our other 3 stands,
Okay.
we did an entire perimeter around the stand, which is one entrance on the parking lot side. That's how we did our stands in the previous years, and they're big enough that they can't climb over them.
Okay, and then my only other thing would be, I wondered if would we be good to have you flip this over here and have the entrance on this side instead of this side, so it's not close to the entrance of the
absolutely,
scooters?
yeah,
That's just a thought that I had was
yeah,
keeping it away, keeping the kids away from the thoroughfare for the scooters. Those are a
absolutely.
couple things that I thought of. Other thoughts from commissioners? Questions for the petitioners?
As I remember, isn't that all just gravel through there? It's
Mhm.
graded
Yes.
gravel, right? It's not paved, and there is a sidewalk in front of that as
Mhm.
well, correct? So that sidewalk would, yeah. Okay.
And I don't know if it mattered, but you had it listed as best witches, and it's basic witches.
Oh, basic witch.
So, yeah.
I'm sorry.
No,
Okay.
that's just fine. Just didn't know if it mattered or not.
Seasonal name. No, you're just fine. You're just fine. And just one question I had, just with the storm we had the last couple of days, if there were weather-related events, would there be any issues with the site setup or maintenance, blowing straw throughout the parking lot? Have you worked with the other property owners on?
Not really. If there is anything if there is debris blown around at all, we are more than happy to come in and clean it up and get the leaf blower out.
We
and
had
clean
one
it
at
all
Farmington
up.
Station last year in their parking lot, and that's a pretty classy operation there.
Oh, yeah.
They were totally happy with it all, so the only reason we're not going back there is because no one goes to Farmington Station to buy pumpkins.
Yeah.
So
I've actually-
it was a cool display, but everyone's like, "Oh, this resident here on a date," you know.
Yeah.
So
So the property owner that you're renting the property from, do they own the property just immediately to the left there? They
No,
don't.
they don't.
So then people won't be allowed to park there then.
No,
Or-
he said that we could use the parking on the asphalt. Or
Because
the,
he has shared parking
Uh-huh.
because of him being a property owner there. You've got shared property
yes.
for the parking, but on the gravel to the left, how are you going to prevent people from parking then on somebody else's property there?
I can't imagine that it would be busy enough that we wouldn't be able
That
to
would be
just
a
catch
problem.
people and
Okay.
say, hey, can you please not park
Okay.
there? Or, I mean, if we needed to, I guess we could put up a
No
like a
parking.
string barrier.
No,
or
I'm just
even-
thinking that we,
Shouldn't matter, right? I mean,
it shouldn't
no
matter,
different than any
but
day.
you've got to be respectful of somebody
Absolutely.
else's property. I mean, you could even go to them and say, hey, I'm doing this. Are you okay if people park there? And maybe they
Yeah.
would allow it.
We could even put a straw bale up, like a cute little straw bale with a sign that says no parking in it.
Yeah.
And do it.
And maybe that'd be fine. I just think.
If it came to that, we
I
could
hope you have
definitely.
such crowds that you
Yeah,
have to
that'd be
clear
great.
the parking.
I mean, that would be fun, trying to pay for kids' educations here. So,
So curiosity, at the end of the night with
Mhm.
pumpkins, do you like cover them all up? Do you take them away? Do you just leave them there and trust that nobody will steal your
Yeah,
pumpkins?
we do. We just kind of do the on your,
On your
on, yes type
Okay.
thing. And that's between you and God if you want to steal
yeah,
pumpkins.
Not that it matters. I just wonder,
Yes.
you know, at night,
In
because sometimes you have teens who love
Yeah,
to
no,
steal pumpkins.
last year we had 3 stands and we did not have any problems with it until the night of Halloween. We had some kids come in and smash, stuff that was left, and we just picked it up the best that we could.
We have an
There was
excellent,
no problem.
they're not
so-
here. I'm used to council meetings, but we have an excellent police department that I'm sure if you have
Yeah.
any issues, we'll have your response.
Well, and one good thing on that road, it does see significant traffic.
Yeah.
So it should be a good location to sell things. It actually probably makes it a little more secure too, because
Mhm.
people are on that road
Yeah.
24/7.
It does seem like a very high traffic area, which is what we're hoping for to get some pumpkins sold. So.
What's your timeline for the business opening and closing?
We're looking around maybe the week before or up to the week of October 1st. And then we'll start cleanup the next day on the 1st of November. So,
Okay, any other questions for the petitioner? Any other questions for staff? Okay, thank you.
okay, we will excuse ourselves from your city meeting.
All right.
Well, they'll take it, yeah. And
Great.
then, I thought you meant from the meeting, sorry.
Oh,
Might
yes.
want to wait a moment. and then
Okay.
You're welcome to
All right.
stay or go out.
Any other discussion items for this topic? Do we have a motion?
I'll make a motion that we approve agenda item 2, site plan for temporary pumpkin stand located at 2700 North, 1142 West.
With staff
I'll
recommendations?
second that.
Yeah, with staff recommendations.
And second it with staff recommendations? Any discussion of the motion on the table? All in favor, say aye.
I
Any opposed?
And that was Commissioner Bolenbrook seconded?
Yes.
Park. Okay.
wanted
Do you
to,
David
remember
Park.
the-
David
I'm
Park
sorry.
first and Jeff
Today I am
second,
minute
since you're on your
also,
first.
so.
Okay, great. Appreciate it. Thank you. Welcome to Pleasant.
good luck with your
Yes.
pumpkin stand.
Great.
And visit, yeah, that's exciting.
Yeah.
Are you going to share any of that on social media that we can share with the residents?
Get that up on our social media site.
Yeah, we do have an Instagram set up. What is it called? basic witches. Basic.
Sorry, not best witches. I'm sorry.
So I'll find you and then I'll share this.
I don't know where I saw that.
Yeah.
Okay, we appreciate you guys.
Thank you
Thank
very much.
All right, let's go to item number 2, Shiny. Let's see. Conditional use permit for car wash development. Consideration of conditional use permit to allow for car wash within the CP2 zone at 500 West, 2700 North. This is for Shiny Shell Car Wash conditional use and site plan review. Go ahead and turn the time over to staff for a presentation.
Okay, thank you. So I'm actually, if you're comfortable with it, Chair, going to present items 3 and 4 jointly, but they're 2 separate actions. So before you this evening, and I'm glad I'm not the only one that stumbles with the tongue twister, is a proposal for this, oh my goodness, Shiny Shell, there, I did it again, car wash. So in looking at the conditional use standards, this is within the CP2 zone, and conditional use standards that are allowable. The way that state law works, you can set conditions based on what's in our zone, and the conditions within that are relative to parking and storage. So if you see any issues relative to those 2 items for this development, we can absolutely look at addressing those through conditions adopted. I know there was quite a bit of discussion with the staff on water usage just due to drought conditions. I think there's other opportunities and mechanisms that we can work with the developer on through our water rate structure, different things to be able to address some of the water usage. But this is not somewhere where that would be able to be addressed because it doesn't have water usage as a condition within the zone. So it's ultimately just to allow for the conditional use within this area. And I don't know if there's any questions about the conditional use. If there's not, I'll pop in the site plan.
I do. Just real quick, can you educate us? Staff recommended the approval of conditional use. Additional due to severe drought, recommends that approval will be contingent on installation of a 4-inch commercial water meter. Why and what does that?
And I appreciate that comment. I did more research after the memo was sent to you. Because I had talked with our engineer and we talked about a certain meter size. Depending on the size of the meter depends on the impact fees relative to the use. And so that would maximize the ability to be able to use that, but it wouldn't be a conditional use. That would be something that we recommend having the engineer provide for the appropriate impact in the water main size. And so that's what I'm going to modify and recommend. And so that as we work with these individuals on the building plans and the site plan, that would be part of that.
Okay.
Because it's not, it depends on what the impacts are, various things. We don't really want to pigeonhole into one particular thing, but want to make sure that the impacts of the use are relative to what the costs are for the meter.
Okay, I didn't understand that one. So, okay, any other questions on this part of the presentation? If you're supposed to be asking our hard questions on this stuff, come on. All right.
For Jeff's hard question.
Now, this is not where we will get into the road part of it, but it's the site plan, right?
Into the what part of it? The
the
roadway
layout
part of
of
it?
the
That is
road.
the site plan.
Okay,
Mhm.
I'll wait for that part.
Okay, so I don't know, Chair, if you'd like to take action on the conditional use now, or do you want me to continue with the
Now,
site plan?
remind us why, just help educate the group, why we're doing conditional use and then the site plan, why we're doing this as 2 separate.
Absolutely. So they actually are supposed to be done at the same time, but in looking at the ordinance, it doesn't have to be in the same action. And so if you have them done in the same action, it's messier. Because if, again, with the way that state law is and conditional uses, if you're setting a condition, it has to be something that's existing in your ordinance for that zone. And so if you see something in the site plan, I know Chair had some questions about the navigation and that, you couldn't set a condition if you're approving them jointly based on kind of the route of traffic for the site plan, because it would meld into the conditional use. So that's why they need to be 2 separate actions, because you have a limited scope as to what you can add on a conditional use permit, but on the site plan, you can make recommendations
So
separately.
are we better off waiting and asking our questions about the site plan before we pass the conditional, or does it matter?
It doesn't matter. I don't care how the discussion flows. If I'm okay if you'd like to vote on both of them following the entirety of the discussion, if you prefer. It's just a stylistic
Let's
preference.
go ahead and go on to our discussion
Okay.
on the site.
Okay, perfect. Okay, so before you this evening, and we do have our fine engineer on the line as well, Dana Schuler with Jones and Associates, but we also have before you the proposed site plan development, and there are some considerations here in the memo just with relation to that, the general well-being of the community, detriments to health, welfare, public and land, and then compatible uses with other area uses, making sure regulations and conditions are met in the code, and then meeting the general plan. And so in looking at the general plan, there really aren't concerns with this. Oh, I guess I'm going to follow this in my memo, sorry. So just as a heads up with the subdivision relative to this, that has been approved by the council for final. There were some final conditions with that with relations to getting UDOT access and some other things that are cited, the escrow agreement, and just remaining staff comments. And so those are some of the things that are being worked out, and frankly, we're anticipating to be addressed in the coming weeks.
And that's to the west.
Yes, well, to the west and other portions to the north, kind of around on the site plan. It's the big PUD, and then for the subdivision, and then this is a little pocket of that.
Right.
So with that, you'll see on the site plan, there's kind of a variety of uses. It shows flow of traffic, vehicle movement, areas for parking, landscaping, a playground amenity, and it does address that this is built and installed to the International Play Equipment Manufacturers Association standards, and a dumpster with an enclosure. It also states that it meets water-wise landscaping with sod trees and bushes, and then with fence installed around the playground area. So this depicts the site plan. There's specifications on the building materials. I don't know if there were questions about that. I don't know if I can zoom in on this initial. And I know that there's some questions about the flow of traffic, and we do have the developers here that would be happy to help address some of those. And then this is basically the architectural rendering of what the car wash would be. Again, there's specifications here on the material and the colors, and I'm sure the petitioner would be happy to speak to those and the design of it. And then just overall, we didn't see any major issues with the use with relation to the general plan. There is another car wash in the city. It's closer to the other side of the city. They are on two different water sources, so this would actually be the only single car wash on the water system in the city. So they are planning on, and we can have them speak to this, using a large percentage of recycled and repurposed water. It still is a big water user due to the type of business it is. And then we didn't see incompatibility with commercial uses surrounding this. So, and then again, we'll make sure that they comply with city code and all of this standards. Dana, did you have anything to add or questions on this?
The only thing, like I think you've mentioned, this is part of the PUD that hasn't been approved yet. So
it's been approved, but it hasn't been finalized.
Sorry,
no, you're fine.
Yeah, it hasn't been recorded, so it's not complete, I should say. So it would, approval of this site plan would just be dependent on that, the PUD being recorded and stuff.
Yes, thank you. So I'm sorry if I talked over you, Dana. So Dana said, obviously we want this contingent on the PUD being recorded. Correct, Dana?
Yes.
So, and I'm going to jump in here real quick, because the one thing that I had questions on when we were looking at this last time in the discussion was this had to be approved by UDOT, and this was part of the whole PRUD with the whole subdivision. This was going to be the inbound, and it comes into the car wash, which is, they're basically traffic. My question is, how do we connect? Because there's the other part of the subdivision and the other part of the subdivision. So how are we connecting to the other part of the subdivision here? And how do we connect to the other part of the subdivision? And then I referenced the UDOT letter, which is there. It says UDOT is also asking Pleasant View to ensure that the future developments to the west of each of the subject developments provide a cross-access easement to allow the subject developments to connect to the 600 west. So one, I'm not seeing, I know this is just their site plan, but I'm not seeing that access back here. And then how is it, remind me, how is it that we will, I don't want to say guarantee, but how do we lock it down to where this goes all the way out to 600?
So that is actually a requirement of UDOT that the developer negotiate that and figure that out as a secondary access.
Okay, but do we have that? I mean, this is just the site plan for this, but that goes back to the whole, I guess it's the Bailey project, right? But do we have something for that? This is just one portion of it, and we can say this is contingent, like Dana just said, this is contingent on that site or that PRUD being recorded, but I don't see that in this.
Right, and so I
don't
think,
see that connection.
And Dana, you can chime in, but I think that would be the second contingency. But I have seen renderings where it does connect, but I don't.
You've seen it, but I don't
exactly.
have it. Sure, please come up here and help us out. Because to me, that's the lost one, and I've been left out in the blue, and then later they say, well, we're not.
I'm not representing this subdivision, but I know a whole lot about it. Dave Laloli, Plain City, Utah. So you've already approved Brent's plans that have and show cross-access agreement, or well, yeah, it won't help because we don't have the plan. So if you could pull up Brent's plan.
I don't think I have it.
So his plan has already been approved. It's final.
Dana will pull it up. Thank you, Dana.
As you drive in, it tees off. One goes to the east, one goes to the west, to each property behind it.
And is that what you're saying, Dana, is recorded, or we're waiting to be finalized and recorded?
Correct. So this is the car wash parcel right here, or
Yes.
that's lot one of this entire PUD here. So the cross access is going to be in relation to the PUD. It'll come up and it'll tee into this property and it'll tee into that property. That's the cross access agreement. It doesn't affect the car wash property.
Right. So it's behind it is. Will you do your pointer? It's right there. That's the cross access.
Yes.
And then the one to the we'll call it the east, to the right, I believe is tentatively that the church access, and the one to the left. How do we do as UDOT says that we obligate them to? Is that Brent Bailey's obligation to mark that with them, or how do we with UDOT earmark that to where they have to leave that all the way to 600?
So this is going to be a primary access for that property. There won't be any more accesses down the right.
But what, according to UDOT, it says UDOT is also asking Pleasant View to ensure that the future developments to the west, each of the subject developments provide a cross-access easement to allow the subject developments to connect to 600 west.
So when they come to develop,
how do we, when they come in, I need this to go all the way to 600. So how do we obligate that, or how do we?
So from what I understand, Brent Bailey's group is working on agreements with the property owners on the other side to get that in place, because there is a desire of the developers, and a lot of this delay has come as a result of timing with negotiations with UDOT, frankly. But UDOT would like to have that in place before a full interchange access can occur down at the bottom.
Okay, so will that have to take place before they will allow basically before they allow this, they have to have an agreement for that?
And
No.
Dana, please correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't think the entirety has to be there. It's to get the full signalized intersection and access is what's required to have that cross
Right.
access. So they'll be able to have access onto the, oh, sorry, Dana, go for it.
The future cross access agreement, that is only that's only applicable to this piece of property. It basically says that this property owner is going to allow future cross access to adjacent properties in order to access this intersection. And then as a condition that's separate, for whenever there's a light here, there needs to be interconnectivity over to 600. But that's down the road. It's not required for this access at the time.
And that'll be on the city to require the people to the west to connect, right? You'll have to require cross access.
So
Well,
not
right.
necessarily on the city, the way, oh, go for it, Dana.
Well, we'll look at the layout of all the buildings and that future plat, and we will want interconnectivity, and it'll also serve utilities as well. So it's beneficial for everybody involved.
Okay, so we don't have to have an agreement before we approve it through.
No, the agreement's required for UDOT to put in the full interchange that's being requested.
Okay. All right, thank you.
Thank you, Dana.
Mhm.
Appreciate Dana joining us today.
Do we have any questions for staff? And do we have any questions for the petitioner? Is the petitioner here? Do we have any questions for the petitioner from?
No, I would like to know a little more about their water recycling and all of that. And also, so are they drawing from that location? The other car wash uses Weber Basin water then probably, right? Bona Vista.
And
And
this
this
would
one
be our
will be,
culinary supply.
this will be our culinary supply, because I'm telling you right now, we're going to be hearing from citizens that this does not contribute to their general well-being, and it could be detrimental to their health and safety and well-being in regards to water usage. So I think it's going to be beneficial for us to know what you are doing water-wise to preserve as much water as possible, because I dare say we will get feedback.
If you'd like to introduce
State your name
yourself.
and address.
Yeah, great question. I'm Mitch Morris with Shiny Shell Car Wash. Address is 3135 South Richmond Street in Salt Lake City, Utah, 84106. Great question. Thank you for it. It is a major concern that we have as well, as we are Utah-based, a local company. We have operating car washes similar to this one in West Valley, in Murray, and then Draper as well, 200 construction in northern Utah County as well. So we are heavily dependent on water for sure. We really appreciate the concern, being locals and citizens as well. So we actually use a reclamation system that recycles and reuses up to 70% of the water. The manufacturers claim there, and what we've done our own studies to find out. So yeah, we actually we'll reuse that on the cars there. And we actually, on our landscaping plan, you can see we've tried to incorporate some water-wise landscaping with gravel and some more native plants here that are water friendly, not heavy water users. And then additionally, we actually, the state allows for rainwater harvest. So off of our roof there, we actually have our roof drains running into our reclaim system. So we're able to reuse additional water there as well, rather than just running into the storm drain. So Yeah. So as far as the reclaim system itself, as car goes through the car wash tunnel there, we obviously have a number of applicators and high pressure sprays and things like that. I'm sure you've been through something similar. It funnels down into a pit, which goes into several different holding tanks that acts as a filtration system to separate the heavy debris, and then also passes through that grease and oil separator as well, obviously, which is just a normal thing that's required for any water like that before entering into a city system. But and then once we're actually pulling from towards the middle of that water, not into the filth and not onto the top there, we pull that back into the building, which runs through a large expensive system that really cleans that water up and further refines the water so that it's usable on the cars there themselves. So they actually gets used more on the side panels and on the undercarriage. With all the salt we get in Utah, we definitely need to clean those off. So but yeah, it's more on the side there, and we have a final rinse, obviously, that's using the clean fresh water there. But yeah, great question. Did I answer that okay?
You did. That's great information. Just to educate me, because I don't know that much about car washes.
Yes, please.
Some of the things that you're explaining, like the recycle, the rainwater harvest, these are obviously newer technologies, because we don't see that on older car washes. Are these required things now, or are these optional things that business owners decide to implement in order to be good citizens, say to speak? I mean, what are the regulations, and is this a recent thing, requirement? Just I would like to be educated.
Yeah, for sure. I eat, sleep, and even dream of car wash for sure. So my wife does not let me live it down about when we drive down and I'm like, oh, right around the corner is going to be this car wash. So I understand. I apologize. Yeah, I know I speak a lot of fluently car wash language. So great question though. As of right now, there's no state or national requirement for any kind of reclaim system at car washes or rainwater harvesting or anything like that. So it is a step in the right direction with the new technology, the best that's available right now, to be able to reuse that water as best we can. So no requirement, but we're happy to do it. Obviously, it helps on our end with the utility bill, but we like to be good citizens as well. So
appreciate it. Brian Prince with Shiny Shell Car Wash, part of the applicant team. That's a great answer, Mitch. Yeah, I think the answer is it is not required at the federal state level. It's a really expensive 3-tank system. It's underground, so it looks, there's 3 big manholes in the parking lot, and so it's a really expensive system. We do it. I'd love to say we do it just because we're great guys, but it does save us a lot of money in the long run. If you're a long-term operator, you're going to use a lot less water. Your bills are going to be lower, and we believe in the future there will be state-level regulation, and so we're getting ahead of the curve. It's a lot more affordable to build that up front, to have the infrastructure to recycle that water, than to do it later and retrofit an existing facility. So it's something we're very proud of, to be able to recycle 70%. We always hope and pursue secondary or gray water opportunities. In this case, we're using culinary water, so it's a really sensitive subject. But
so have you reached out to the secondary provider? I know we'd had some discussions.
Yeah, the capacity and pressure isn't there, is what is the challenge there. But that's the discussion we had at the staff level, and that's usually the case. And also it's a part of it's just the uncertainty. It's a seasonal, with most secondary water systems, there can be a seasonal component to it.
Could you supplement it part of the year?
It's a good question. We had a discussion at staff level, and the answer was that
We
wouldn't
have
be.
concerns from the city side because we don't want anything contaminating our culinary supply. So I mean, if we're switching on and off the same system.
Yeah, but could you, if you're supplementing into their system for part of the year with the secondary water, my question is how much of, we're doing a review of how much water we have for the, so many years and what we have. What did we just basically are adequate, I'm not going to use the right words, but are adequate. Yes, there we go. I may ask the councilman, I may ask the councilman to help us out here, but we've already done our adequate forward look here and say, okay, this is how much we're projected, this is what we're building, and we already have planned out. What is this impact going to be for our housing, for our projected future? Have we looked at that? As our
And if
staff
Dana's
looked at
still
that?
on, I think she could help speak to that. But it would fall in the current capacity with what's being proposed. Dana, you're welcome to.
Dana, what is that impact on that as far as with the projected with, I know our staff is, with our utilities group, we're constantly looking at, how much of a dent will that make for the upcoming future?
Right, so we do have, based on the current count, we do have adequate water. And then once our paper rights run out, we automatically start receiving water from Weaver Basin Water Conservancy District. So it is, we are covered no matter, I say no matter what the usage, but based on the hydraulics and what we've calculated, this development or this use will be covered.
Can I ask a question?
Yes.
And can you come to Mike? Sorry, no. You can ask her, but she can't hear you. Thanks, Sarah.
Sarah Yuri, Pleasant View City Council. So just, Dana, clarify, I know that we have adequate water. I don't know if we want to go into perspective, do we? Doesn't really matter. There's adequate water, but you might want a conversation afterwards. But once we have to, yes, we are required to buy more, but it becomes a tiered system. It's a new purchase. It's not just, oh, we get more water, correct?
No, it is. It's automatic. We signed an
You don't have to
on-demand
pay more
contract.
for the more water?
We will be paying an impact fee. The new applicants, once this kicks in, will be paying
Okay.
the Weaver Basin impact fee, and we automatically get under contract with Weaver Basin for that water.
Yeah, I knew that. That's in 2025, correct? Is that a different thing that we have a new tier in 2025?
Every year the impact fee changes.
Okay.
And then once that kicks in, it'll go to a different impact fee. But it.
And I just want to make sure I understand.
Estimated. Mhm.
With the impact fee, that's not just to the people who are submitting applications. That's the love is spread throughout the community, correct?
I don't understand your question.
Our fees will go up.
That's
No,
Existing
the impact
Does the impact fee impact all residents?
No, the impact fee is only on the applicant. If you're applying for new water,
that's nice.
you pay the impact fee, and that's it. Because
Okay.
that offsets any the impact of the new development to existing residents.
Okay, and then, so just to clarify, so I understand correctly, what is it, that when we purchase the new tier, though, that is, that will impact all residents as far as paying for that new tier, correct?
Well, we'll be paying O&M costs, just like our other contracts
Okay.
we have. But we're not buying a block of water. We're buying
I can't
water
hear
as needed.
We're not what?
We're not
We're not-
buying blocks of water, it's as needed.
Gotcha.
That way-
Well, as our ERUs are reduced, then we have to purchase more water.
Yes, but each time an applicant comes in and pays that impact fee, you automatically purchase the water. Or
Okay.
does that make sense?
And I guess
Yes.
to your point though, Councilmember Yuri, and I do want to help, I guess, bring some peace of mind to our planning commissioners.
Yeah.
We've had discussions, myself, the mayor, our public works director, our city engineer, And we do want to proactively address water issues. I
Yes.
think it's very critical in these drought conditions. And so there are going to be some things coming, no pun intended, down the pipeline on this.
No, I got you there. No, I just wanted perspective, just clarification. Thank you, Dana.
So
Any other questions?
I've always been under the impression if 50 of us lined up in our driveway and washed our cars, we would actually use more water than if 50 of us went to the car wash and went through the car wash. So I know the top level view of the water usage, everybody goes, but in reality, it's actually conserving water versus if all of us lined up in our driveway and washed them ourselves. So that was my impression.
Yeah, and we have studies done that obviously in the car wash world, water is a big concern. We don't have a business without water. So they've done lots of studies, and yeah, they average 3 to 4 times more water usage by washing your car in your driveway than compared to at a tunnel car wash like this.
It's on average about 80 gallons if you're washing your car with a hose in the driveway. If you go to one of those self-serve bays where you pull up the wand and spray, it's on average about 40 gallons, 30 to 40 gallons on average for a car. That seems like a lot, but it's coming out quick. With the recycling reclaim system, on average, we use net about 20 gallons. So you're exactly right, Commissioner Park. If you're all about, what is the most efficient way to wash cars in the community, this express tunnel is by far the most sustainable, efficient, technology right now. We're hoping it continues to improve and get to a point where we're recycling all of the water, but it's a great, step in the right direction.
So I have a F-350 long bed dually. Will it go through your car wash?
Yes.
Yes.
Really?
Yep.
Oh, cool. Because I go down and reuse the wand and waste all the water.
You're probably using 100 gallons, so we're going to really help you out.
Probably.
Any other questions for the petitioner? Questions for staff?
I've got a question for Mrs. Maybe. Are there any limits to like the number of car washes in our commercial zones here? Because, and the reason I bring this up, now we will have 2 car washes, which we've got a fair population here. But car washes seem to be a very popular commercial entity lately.
Question is just perfect. It goes back to my little in the pipeline. No, I'm teasing. So I've had discussion with staff, and I think if this evening is approved, that we would disallow car washes moving forward. And it's not to try to stop other businesses from competing or anything in that nature. It's just it's a high water user. And I think having 2 within city limits would be sufficient for the needs of our residents. So
thank you. That's a little reassuring.
I like that. Okay. So if no other questions, do we have someone who would like to make a motion that can either deny, approve, or table the conditional use? We'll go ahead and there's 2 different things before. Are we approving body for this tonight, right?
for both, yes.
For both items.
I'll make a motion. We're gonna do these separate, right?
Correct.
Yes.
I'll make a motion that we approve agenda item number 3, the conditional use permit for the car wash development.
Okay, we've got a motion for the approval of the conditional.
With all staff recommendations as.
So there are no conditions recommended for the conditional, but on the next we have
correct, you're right,
recommendations.
yeah.
Sorry.
Okay.
You took the easy one.
Well, to Andy's point, I got messy in the memo, and then I called Ombudsman's office and got all cleaned up. So
Yeah, you're right.
So we have a
No more
motion,
puns.
motion by Commissioner Bolenbrook. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
We have a second by Commissioner Cummings. Any discussion on the item? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, we'll go to the second item, which is the site plan. If I can turn my page. We do have some conditions on this one, and Dana reminded us on the conditions of that the plots.
So the two would be conditional upon recordation of the, is it PRUD, Dana? And then also
The PUD.
PUD. I heard an R in there earlier. I'm like, have I been missing that? And then the other one is conditional on UDOT final approval.
And staff comments.
Oh, and then also staff comments. Is that what you said, Dana?
Yes.
Thank you. So there's 3. Yeah.
Have approval for the access, right? I mean, we don't have the access permits.
So it's, yeah, we have approval. We need the permits. So it's conditional on the permits. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
On our project too.
Yeah. So approval of the permits. Kind of, yeah. It's kind of the same thing, but it's not. Yeah.
I mean, we got a letter for them stating it's approved.
Okay, I'll make a motion that we recommend agenda item number 4, site plan with a car wash development with the conditions of the UDOT permit and the what was it?
Issuance of the UDOT permit.
Oh, the site recordation of the overall site plan PUD.
Not the site plan, the
PUD.
yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
And then staff recommendations. We have a recommendation by Commissioner Bolenbrook. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
We have a second by Commissioner Park. Any discussion on the motion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? None. Is unanimous. Okay, thank you very much. All right, we will go ahead and now let's move to staff comments or commission comments. So first of all, I want to thank everybody for the fact that everybody is willing to juggle the schedule around for this, and that everybody juggled around with the emails, and we played around with our dates a little bit. So
I'm sorry for the multi-juggling. I had planned a family trip 9 months ago, and then with my in-laws, although maybe I could get out at 9:50.
But that's why we've got one on permanent and one on standby, so we appreciate everybody being a little bit
so
flexible.
we're flexible next month too, and I understand Bolenberg's not here, and today Dean wasn't able to make it because he's.
But that's why we've got such a great group.
Yeah.
And so next month, just to confirm, we're not meeting the first Thursday, we're meeting the third Thursday. Is that correct?
So it's on the 20th, yes.
On the 20th. So I just wanted to make sure that we put that on our
And that will be noticed soon. So.
20th. So the third Thursday is where we'll be. And so, so let's keep that on our agenda. Also, is there anything else from the group that we have for staff communication or for commission communications questions? We had a question from Julie Farr. I thought would be a great educational item.
Yes. So
I think it is. Do you want to re-ask your question?
no, the question is to be educated on the variance board. Who is on it?
It's a board of adjustments.
Okay, board of adjustments. It's an appeals board.
Well, appeals or variance, yeah.
Okay, so.
But there's difference on how you
So-
get there.
So we just want
Okay, so more information on what role it takes, who is on this. Just educate us.
Absolutely. So the Board of Adjustment at the city level is actually put in place through city council appointments, much like our planning commission, as a requirement in our state law to have a board in existence for an appeal authority. And so, and I emailed all of this over to you all too, and anybody from the public who might be listening in YouTube land is welcome. If they want to email me, I'm happy to forward this information on to them as well. And so it's a body that's separate completely from the Planning Commission and City Council. And there's a couple of different things per our city code that they can do. And one of them is if somebody has a variance and it's specifically outlined in our city code that's allowed to be adjusted, that's something they can consider. And so I know a recent action that had a lot of interest was with regards to a lot that didn't have frontage and allowing that lot to be developed. And so that's one of the things that's explicitly listed in our code. The other thing they can do, though, is if there's,
No, I just saying something. And we also address what the requirements are in order for an appeal to the grant account with state code.
so I can go through that. I was, if I can
Well, it's okay for.
dance around a little bit, sorry. So the other thing that the board does is if there is an issue that, you know, they don't agree with a planning commission decision, they can go, it's, you know, our government's based on different appeals and that, and appeal to the board and say, you know, we don't agree with this decision or determination. And then from there, if it's, you know, they determine that we haven't dotted all our I's or crossed all our T's, and then it can go to a district court level. And so it kind of expands beyond that to the courts. But it's an appeals authority currently on our board, and I have the roster here. We have Richard Reese, Larry Wadman, Dave Wade, Richard Evans, and Robert Knapp, who are participants on that. So they, again, had similar appointments to the Planning Commission. There are 5-year terms. We did find, and with this and our other committees and commissions, that we need to do a little bit better job monitoring the date of the appointments. Had some communication with the Ombudsman's office. You know, some of these appointments are extended beyond that 5-year term of reappointment. They didn't have major concerns, but said you really need to just clean things up. So just as an awareness thing for you all, and I don't want anybody to feel like anybody's on the hot seat or anything, but there's probably be some of you are new appointments, so you're probably not going to be in the mix. But if you've been on the Planning Commission for more than 4 years, you'll probably have a reappointment coming up soon. So just as a heads up to you, because, you know, this brought to light our attention on both of these. You know, oh, this is good. This is good. Let's clean this up. So with that, to Sarah's point, there are criteria in the state law. It's not just somebody comes and they have a complaint and say, hey, I want this. And they say, okay, they've got to meet 5 criteria that are included in the state law.
Can I help you with that at all, or do you want?
You're welcome to chime in. No.
So
sorry, my
no.
My
So
notes
I
and
had
brain
to
are.
brush up on this as well. Seriously, I knew we had an appeals board, but I didn't really know what the role was. An appeal authority is there for somebody who has gone through the process of either planning commission or city council, or they come in for a permit with administration and they see on the books the laws and ordinances that you have are unfair to me. Does that make sense?
To this property.
To this
because of
property,
circumstances
and
within the
I'm
property.
not able to enjoy everything else. I'm not able to enjoy what all my neighbors in that zone get to have. And so the applicant, the onus is on them to prove to those 5 things, to gather data, information, and to address each one of those 5 things to show, hey, this is why this applies, this applies, this applies, this applies. And it's very, very specific in state code. It can't be about financial hardship ever. That can't be one of the reasons. And it can't be about, or financial hardship or gain, and it can't be self-imposed. So if like you subdivided a lot that you shouldn't have, you self-imposed it. You know what I mean by that? So and so it has to meet the 5, and Amy can explain what the 5 are, that you have to prove that you're unique and somehow you're not granted the same kind of rights that everybody else has. But you got to prove it. And you have to prove all 5. It can't be 4 of the 5, 3 of the 5, 2 of the 5. All 5 have to be considered. And it spells out very, very specifically of what doesn't count to those 5. Just clarification. Anyway, you go.
No, you're fine. Okay, I'm going to see if I can find those 5 standards.
I have it tagged. Do you want it?
So if somebody makes an appeal and people on the board.
So then the board looks at what the proposal is with the appeal, and then they make a vote and determination.
My question is, if they made an appeal and you've got people on that board who were out of qualification, so to speak, does that make that appeal valid when you have board members who basically were outside of their number of years of appointment?
So it does not make it invalid. And that was my point with the planning commission too, because, and I don't know when your appointments are, we're trying to research them. Because it was done in good faith and some of your terms might be expired. I don't know. I haven't been here that
And
long.
now
but
that you know better.
now that we
it's
know,
kind-
we're fixing
it's kind
it.
of
We're
like,
fixing it immediately.
you know, one time you acted in good faith, now that you know, you better fix it.
Exactly. Because
And
it's been brought to our attention.
And even if they don't, an appeal authority, if they, for some reason, don't, we'll just, you know, if they don't understand the 5 or whatever and grant that variance, there is an appeals process to the district court. And it's very, very important for cities to record, you know, audio and written minutes, because the judge will ask that as evidence to look at. We only have 30 days to appeal. And the judge will very specifically look at 5 criteria that, was it addressed? Was it met? What were the conditions? You know, all of those things, you know, in order to address that. There is an option for people who feel like the board, you know, didn't make the right decision. There you go. But that's, you've got 30 days.
So is the decision of the Board of Adjustments, that's the final?
Yep. City council can do nothing.
It's
You can do nothing
disputable in
about it?
court.
And then it goes to court.
It goes to district court.
So the city would have, so if the city council say didn't want it, but the Board of Adjustments did approve it,
But they've got to prove, it's supposed to be a really, really hard process. Just because city council, they went through something, it can't be, oh, I want it. They've got to prove that, hey, city council's not being fair. Planning commission's
well,
not
no,
being
no, I
fair.
get it. So
Yeah.
if he goes, or if the applicant goes to the Board of Adjustments and the Board of Adjustments agrees with that
Yeah.
person, that's the final decision and no one can, like city.
No
can't-
one at the city can
No, they can
alter
report
that. And they're intentionally made as an independent body so that we don't.
To
conflict
interfere.
with-
It's
yeah.
supposed to be kind of like if you picture the mayor as your president and city council as your Congress,
Your Supreme Court. Yeah.
this is your Supreme Court. But
Third party.
it's not so supreme that you can't have another court overturn it. But they really, really, part of the requirements is they need to be trained. They better know what they're doing. They should be trained every year. They should know what the laws are. They should know what the criteria is. And actually, they should consult with attorneys to make sure.
And a lot of times, I know in the past, our Board of Adjustment members, I started there and then came here, but a lot of times our Board of Adjustment members have been past city councilmen, past Board of Planning Commission members, so a lot of
we have a
them
couple of
actually have.
attorneys on.
Yes, so
Actually, yeah,
a lot of ours,
more and more of our cities are actually moving to contracting out with land use
Correct.
attorneys.
Right.
Just one.
And
because it's not, the items that go to that group is very, very seldom. I mean, when I was on there, I think
Yeah.
we had 2 and all of the
It's
time I was on
supposed to
there.
be really,
It's
really
very,
hard.
very rare that
Be able to
anybody
get
actually
a
go there and
variance.
ask for anything.
And they are variances, but not like on
Can't grant a
zoning,
use, like if.
or zoning
No,
changes
You can't,
or
like
anything
in
like that.
RE20, you can't have a commercial building. If somebody decides, oh, but I want a business there, you can't.
Okay.
no, it's
So it's
specifically
strictly-
outlined in code what is allowed as a variance. I mean, they can try to appeal. Sorry,
No, do you guys want this? You can read the city code.
I sent it over to
And she
them.
sent it to us, so
I
we,
also sent the Daily Sheriff's handbook of what it looks like. I think I sent it to you.
I don't think you sent it to me, but you referenced it to me, and I was looking earlier. And can you send it? Thank you. I'm sorry.
It's really, really actually, it's very helpful because I didn't know really what level Board of Adjustments, I'm like, oh my goodness.
well, and it's changed in the last, 3 or 4 years. 4 years ago, I think it changed what was allowed versus.
And
Mhm.
there are different approaches that are allowable under state law. You can have a board or you can have one individual. I mean,
Right.
there's a lot of different varieties in it, but you do have to have some type of appeals. And yeah, I sent pretty detailed notes. It's pretty code heavy though. I was running out of time today, but if you have any questions that I can follow up on, please let me know. I will say if anything, and I always try to look for, what good can we find out of a situation? The decision is final. We're, moving forward. But I think what did you say? Yes, thank you.
Absolutely.
And I think at the very least too, it's good that it's brought to our attention. Oh, we need to be more proactive in terms and paying attention to those. And also, I mean, I was on a planning commission once upon a time, but when there was a reappointment, they asked the person, are you willing to serve another term? Instead of just, we lock y'all in for life. You didn't know that, Dave.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, now you tell me.
They acted in good faith. They took a staff recommendation, and moving forward, really, the onus is on the applicant. They present the information to staff. Staff compiles it, and they can give a recommendation, although the board should be trained well enough to know these are the things. Let's look at the evidence that's presented before us. Because it's supposed to be a last-ditch effort for that person to prove planning commission didn't, treat me right. City council didn't treat me right.
or the code really does clarify a
and I
unique
have
circumstance
such a
that my
unique
property can't.
circumstance that I need to be considered. It's supposed to be really, really difficult. It really is, because you don't want to take the power away from the elected officials who represent you, right? You asked before, what does city council have? We have the right to remove board members. We do. Without
That's part of the code.
administration. If we had a majority and we decided these guys are not working out, we can get rid of them without the mayor. Not that we would do that, but we would have that discussion. The mayor has to have advice and consent.
There's just a lot of balances of power in
Yes.
the code, and as there should be.
So
It's very
they
proper.
can be removed if, by the city council, and the mayor can request them to be removed, but he has to have the consent from the city council. So
I don't know if that gives a good summary, lots of information.
Good
it's
education.
interesting though.
Go read.
I have you materials you can read that'll help you get
Here,
to
I'm
sleep
getting
tonight.
This is really good if you read it.
And thank you, Sarah. I know you shared that with me. I think you showed it to me, but yeah, I don't.
Do you guys know who David Church is?
Attorney, land use attorney.
David Church is who the state legislature and cities go to for advice on land use. He is the leading authority and attorney in the state for land use law.
He's very pragmatic as
Very
well.
good at what he does.
Yeah.
He literally wrote the book on land use 101. That's what it's called.
Amy, anything else from staff for us tonight?
And I guess maybe Sarah was going to address this, but we have some upcoming food truck events in our Pumpkin Palooza. So,
You want me?
sure.
Sarah, comments from the city council?
I'm sorry, I've already been talking too much.
Oh.
We have one more food truck event. We've been having a lot of fun. I don't know if you guys have been coming out. Where have you all been? Julie came.
I come to every.
They're fun. Why don't you come get some fun food? We've been having performers. Kevin Hull, they're just right here. Kevin Hull has performed the last couple times, and he's been a blast. And he's recruiting Jefferson Shoup to come next year, and we're going to have quite the riot. So Jefferson's not a bishop, but there's somebody else in it. Is he a bishop? There's somebody else that's going to be that's a bishop in the band, and then Todd Erickson, who's the stake patriarch. So we decided on a new band name, Two Bishops and a Patriarch. Anyway, I thought that was funny, but it wasn't. Okay, so we have one more, September 26th.
An
And
afterlaugh moment.
we're hoping to get Councilmember Phil Nelson, who actually, he trains and educates and teaches people about Second Amendment and gun rights, and also gun safety. And we've been talking a lot about safety within our city and really refining our, Amy, I can use all the adjectives and the Amyisms.
Oh my goodness, don't say that.
We're not in a good spot because she doesn't say that anymore ever since we pointed that out, that she says that all the time. But we're navigating it. And anyway, no, we've been talking a lot about security and about really refining our processes and making sure that everything's tight, especially with the school shootings and attempted kidnappings and things like that. And it led to a discussion about people being able to have, personal weapons in schools and things like that, which led to another, hey, we should really have these conversations, and feels very, very well versed in these kind of things. And so he's going to have a table, hopefully, at this next food truck event to, and some information to hand out and maybe some pictures and stuff about gun safety and education. So not only do you get good food and good music and cornhole, but you get some education too. So there you go.
And he's not singing.
No, he's not singing.
And I thought
Although we could get some Phil backup. But October 8th, we have our Pumpkin Palooza, and that's a blast. That's our big fall festival where the YCC and Your Cute Son are going to come and help do some stations, some booths. We'll have some bounce slides and obstacle courses and candy cannons and free face painting.
What time does that start?
That is from 4 to 7 at Barker Park as well. And it's a lot of fun. We get free cookies and free chocolate milk, and we have a lot of friends that help out with that. And it's extremely well attended. Last year, we thought we were going to have to cancel it. It rained all day. I don't know if you guys remember this. Rain cleared up and the world showed up. Holy cow. It was crazy. We also have, do you want me to mention?
Youth Council. So Youth Council might soon be coming to your meetings and
Yes.
City Council meetings. We're trying to civically engage them more.
Yes, we had a kickoff last week. And part of the process is we really want the Youth Council, not just for fun and service and doing things like that, but it is fun to come to Planning Commission and learn about your city and what goes on.
Really fun.
And City Council, and also project meetings about the different things that were going on. So we're making it a requirement for the YCC. We'll be sending them the agendas for Planning Commission and the agendas for City Council. And they're also going to lead out on the meetings of following up with, what happened before, but they're going to come and attend and, hopefully ask questions and engage, and then come back to the next Youth City Council meeting and report. And they can choose 2 in the same category, but a third has to be outside of that category. So they can come to 2 Planning Commission and 1 City Council, or, vice versa, or project meetings. We really want them to know what goes on in their local city, because as you guys know, everybody pays attention to the national scene, and that's important, but nothing hits you faster and affects you faster than city government. And we really want them to understand that and raise smart and well-educated humans who want to be proactive in their city and be a part of shaping the future. And we've got some amazing youth in our city. They are outstanding. And Cindy, our rec coordinator, is phenomenal. And she and I tag team and work with them. And we just have they're excited. They're really, really excited. So we laid out our agenda for the year, all of our activities, day with the legislature, all of those things. And so if you know youth who want to join, please tell them to. Please tell them. We meet the first Thursday of every month, like you guys do, but at 7:30. So if we happen to have a meeting where you guys go along, we'll just go downstairs. So anything?
I have a couple other items I forgot earlier.
I'm just trying to think of what's coming
Sorry,
up
we're
on City
taking so
Council.
much
Still
time.
working on pickleball.
Yep, still working on pickleball. Transportation master plan
Yes.
was almost wrapped up. We had awesome kind of turnout at the food truck Giddy Up. It was really fun to set up a booth there. People came and interacted. Some of our commissioners did.
Wind started blowing.
Yeah, and we even had a developer help us. I thought they'd come kick us down, but they helped us get out. Then that's a joke, but we have awesome
It was really good though. It was
It was cool. The Dutch Bros is now open. And even for non-coffee drinkers, the mayor and I went over there and I got a hot chocolate, white chocolate, and it was divine. So
They have amazing smoothies too, I've heard.
Oh, see, it's don't check the calories though. That's not recommended.
I asked David Liloli as he walked in, and he wasn't shy about saying, I said, when is the bird coming? He said, as soon as we get our permit.
Okay.
You guys know what the bird is?
No.
We want a Chick-fil-A. It's like the next best thing. It's a mini Maddox. With chicken and
They have that.
sorry, they don't serve pies like you.
That's all right. I
But-
don't want pies.
No, but the bird is, so the bird, Menchie's, the Roxbury, and he said you can mention
I
all
know
of
there's
those.
another one I'm trying to think.
Orange
Oh, Marco's
Theory,
Pizza.
but that's, Marco's Pizza. Orange Theory is an
It's a
exercise
gym.
place.
Yeah, that doesn't sound fun.
But we have some exciting things coming up. We really, really do.
It will
We've
be
been
fun
working
for those
on
that love gyms.
economic development, but right now everything is so bogged down. We'll touch base back on that.
And next to the Jimmy John's, they are putting in a physical therapy place.
Oh, are they really?
Signed one up on that.
So we've got a lot of exciting things, and finally, I think we're going to be breaking ground on the SunPro 1000
Yes.
West soon. So we're very excited. There's been a lot of
I'm trying to think of, is there stuff coming up on city council? I don't, no,
my brain today is so
you went
fried.
to the conference, tell them about that a little bit.
Oh yeah, I went to
Yeah.
the AK conference last week. It was wonderful. They talked a lot about water issues. I got some good information. I probably should make a presentation.
I would love to
and
see
give
it.
the information
I really
that
would.
got
I
from
wasn't
the
kidding when I
conference.
told you.
It was very good. And I also went and passed around job descriptions. We are hiring for our planner. So if you know anybody, send them our way.
A good planner. A nice planner.
A good planner. So, yeah, I think that wraps up everything that I had. Sorry, I'm so scatterbrained.
They're
Yes.
remodeling the office up there.
Yes.
You
Oh.
brought up water. So I'm not trying to be facetious here.
Just say it.
So
Go.
I mean, why is the secondary water not being shut off till October 15th? When in years past, they've shut it off in September 15th. It's so bad.
So here's the
Because
thing.
he
We've
started
had
later. I can
communication
answer
with them.
that.
Well,
I
that's
talked
not
to
the only
Mike.
thing that they've said. Part of it is because they started later, but also surprisingly, because of the awareness, they have had reduction in use, and that's
Yes,
wonderful.
considerably.
It's wonderful. People are being more thoughtful in how they're using water right now, and even with the city supply, Tyson's giving me the same feedback on the culinary. We're in a good spot.
No, they actually asked Mike about that up at Pine View. He's the second behind Ben Quick because he started later and they've had a reduction and they're just trying to be. They hope, they've been letting out a lot of water. My husband's been going fishing down there on the Ogden River. And so I think they're anticipating water. If you're interested, so I don't know what the acronym ERU stands for, residential unit.
Equivalent residential
Thank you.
unit.
So they base that on the future land use map of where the zoning is of, okay, the state says you have to have a certain amount of cubic feet of water available to each resident, drinkable treated water. And so we have something like 130, just for perspective, and they're perfectly within their rights. The car wash is about 30. That just goes like that.
So Dana, did you have any insights to add? I saw you pop up on the screen.
Say it, Dana.
So glad you're here.
Help me out. That's what Tyson told me.
Oh, it was just completely different subject.
Oh, well, let me finish real quick. Anyway, for perspective, and we do, have you guys ever gone onto Jones' website, Jones Civil, and downloaded our capital facilities plan, our future land use map? All of those things are standards of what
Today.
for reals, planning commission, do it. Look at what our standards are. Look at what our capital facility plan says. Look what our future land use map is. And that's how we base our zoning and what we charge people. And when we also have to buy water and things like that. So it matters to know what the plan is, just for perspective.
So what you're saying is the city basically has projected what we need in water based on our present future land use map and our general plan and what we have zoned now.
Yes,
So we should have adequate water
if we stick to that plan.
We stick-
Until a certain date. Until a certain time. But we are, if you look at the capital facilities plan, we are slated to buy another tier of water. Correct me if I'm wrong, Dana, in 2025, that we have to buy another tier from Weber Basin. It's required.
Okay.
It's a contractual.
We're not buying another tier. We're
Okay,
doing
what are we
it
buying?
we don't have to buy block water. We have already entered into an agreement with Weber Basin that we will basically as new development comes in, like once we run out of our paper water, then this contract automatically kicks in. And if we get 3 building permits, then we are automatically contracted with Weber Basin Water for 3 units or basically what you said, ERUs.
Yeah.
But we're not, like the old system was you go and buy 400 acre feet and then you have all that water until you run out of it. We've gone
So
away
how
from that.
does how does that look then as far as, because we bought it at a certain rate back in 2016. Obviously, the rate has increased. We're not like locked in at that same cost.
No, it is based on their impact fee. So they, just like us, they do an impact fee study. They adopt an impact fee every, 5 to 7 years, 5 to 10 years. And we automatically, when we charge our impact fee, their impact fee is will be rolled into ours. So we'll basically collect it for them, just like we do for Central Weaver Improvement District. Sorry.
I thought it was a tier. But here's my other thought for that is, sure. Oh, you're talking. Sorry, go ahead.
No, I mean, I guess technically it is a tier because they go through, tier 1 or block 1 is done, block 2 is done, but we're not buying blocks anymore. We're going to do an on demand. So we don't have to pay for anything ahead of time. We buy it as we need it, and we buy it with the impact fees that the new resident or the new applicant is paying.
So then the existing residents' rates don't go up then, or do they?
No, I mean, so rates are different than impact fees.
Okay, so then my other question. Sorry, go ahead.
Rates are based on operations and maintenance. Impact fees are based on what's needed to serve, what is needed in above and beyond what we currently have to serve new residents.
Okay, so then my last question maybe is, so yeah, we get more water, but remember we haven't built the infrastructure or holding tank for the last water we bought. So how does that help us if we can't utilize it?
We have the infrastructure to utilize it. We are utilizing
everywhere.
Mm-hmm. Well, in all of Zone 1 that it serves.
Okay, Zone 1, but like what about up on the hill?
We have other tanks and other sources up on the hill. And our
True.
master plan, like you were referring to, does show, we're designing right now the water transmission line and Zone 1 reservoir. So that is actually a current design project of ours.
Okay.
And then once we have that done, then eventually we'll probably need to pump that water up the hill. But
that's what I mean by that. So we have adequate for Zone 1, sure. But the rest of the city, how many zones do we have?
A lot.
Yeah, so the rest of the city beyond Zone 1 is tied into a different system.
No, it's all tied together. So basically, if we're so right now all of our sources that we utilize are at basically the top of the hill. So all that water just trickles down to all the zones. So now, once we start using more Weaver Basin water, we have a source from Weaver Basin down in Zone 1 that pumps directly into that zone. So if that water is being pumped into that zone, all of Zone 1 can utilize that water. And then you're saving water up on the top for it not having to come down into Zone 1. So
does the future land use map still reflect that or not?
Yes. Well, no, the future land use map or the master plan?
Well, the capital facilities plan.
Right. Yeah. My water master plan shows the Zone 1 tank, the source that we already have, and then eventually trying to pump some of that water up the hill for future development as needed.
So is it 135 ERUs that we have about left?
I think we're down to like 113 last I saw.
Is that before the car wash or after?
It's before.
Okay, just checking.
Pushed out 30.
So we just wiped out 30.
Tyson just kind of guesstimated yesterday that the car wash was about 30.
We're down to 80.
Just for perspective, I'm just trying to think.
All right, anything else
I'm
from the
about
commission?
Okay,
I did just have one.
Dana had something.
Okay.
Sorry. I was just going to let you guys know that the contractor will be moving in on Monday to start on the 1000 West road work. So that's between 2550 and 2700.
100%, bro. Let's
go.
go.
That's on the other side. Nice. That'll
Um,
change it.
We're
And-
excited for them.
Just a heads up for the commission, Jones and Associates has been wonderful, obviously, they always are, but they've got somebody on their staff that has planning experience who's gonna be helping with some of our planning reviews. So his name's
Hey,
Sam.
why don't
and
we
he'll
just
be-
do that?
They don't want to do it long-term, we
Oh,
asked.
come on.
I tried.
Who is it? Who
His
is
name
it?
is Sam, it's the best name in the world.
Yeah, no, seriously, we were talking about this, Dana.
That would be really, really good to just contract that out. I vote for Sam. Let's
All
vote for
opposed-
Sam.
All in favor, say
Sam.
aye. Aye. Meeting adjourned.
No, that really would. It actually saves cost. It's a good thing. Oh, I got it. When you
Motion to adjourn and seconded.
We all do.
I gotta write it down for the.
I seconded.
I did. Yeah, it was me.
Good night.
you guys want me to?
Sorry, I'm supposed to take good notes because they're gonna do my minutes for me. I know!